I'm Chief Meteorologist Chuck Collins. Coming up on 25 News at 5. Much quieter weather on the way the next several days.
And we're looking at the communities impacted by that severe weather as crews work now to pick up the pieces. And the former president speaking out now that he faces more than 24 felonies. This is your news at 5.
From your home team, this is 25 News at 5.
Survey teams from the National Weather Service are assessing the damage to determine the strength of what hit last night. Was it a tornado? Good Wednesday evening. I'm Tyler Lopez. Thanks for joining us. We go right now to the chief. And Chuck, a busy night. Much calmer now, though.
That's for sure. And we'll enjoy the calm weather for the next several days. But boy, this time last night, just the opposite. And let's get to what we know as far as the situation is concerned. Weather Service survey teams have been out. They haven't come back with their reports. And we're suspecting at least a couple, if not upwards of maybe 5 tornadoes, a possibility in Fulton County last night. One in Lewistown, one north of it. These are the reports last night from the field. And the Weather Service spotters out just determining exactly what happened. Duncan Mills, one was reported, Ipava and Table Grove. So we'll see what the Weather Service says about the intensity, strength, and number of those tornadoes. But here's what it looked like on radar. And this supercell, big supercell, started out actually as several small supercells around, let's say, Burlington, Iowa. And by the time they got to Fulton County, merged into a full-blown large supercell. And then that ended up coming out of McDonough County into Fulton County, where the first tornado for that tornado warning for that county was issued. And then it grew even larger as it went toward Lewistown and the Cuba areas into what we call a PDS, a particularly dangerous situation. And that tornado warning continued into Fulton County, northeast Fulton County, which affected St. David and Canton areas. And then it was drawn even farther to include parts of Peoria County, including the city of Peoria. And then it eventually, the last warning was put out at about 8:07 as it entered an environment that wouldn't support tornadoes anymore. So that's a recap of what happened last night. Once again, we're awaiting the Weather Service and what they're saying about it, but definitely damage in Fulton County, widespread. Tyler?
Chuck, definitely a stressful evening now, and now we want to take a look at the damage left behind. Our storm coverage begins in Fulton County with that widespread damage caused by what is a suspected tornado that left 4 people hurt, 1 critically. Sam Matheny is live in Lewiston. How are things looking tonight, Sam?
You know, Tyler, things aren't looking the greatest, but cleanup is still going on after crews are still working on cleaning up some debris. As you can see, these buildings that stored farm equipment on this property have been damaged or destroyed. Dennis Turner owns 3,000 acres in Fulton County and showed us the damage to his home and the destruction of the machine sheds and grain bins. He says it's the most devastation he's seen in a while.
I didn't really think we'd hit again because we had it in 95. Went to the basement, we got a safe room down there. Got down there, you could hear the noise. Your eardrums felt funny. We're going to be okay.
Turner says this storm is worse than the one in 1995 because it's nearly planting season. He also says it will take a while to clean the debris from the fields. He's doing his best to stay positive despite losing 4 of the 6 grain bins and multiple tractors. However, the garage that stores his classic car collection was remained untouched. Route 100 in Fulton County remains closed, but we will have that more information coming up soon as Fulton County will give us more updates onto when it will reopen. For now, in Lewistown, Sam Matheny, 25 News.
All right, Sam, thank you. We also want to take a look at the damage left behind in Bryant. Brett Brooks now joins us with a look at how severe winds affected that village. Brett.
Yeah, Tyler, we are here in Bryant. It's a small little community that we're in right now, but go ahead and just take a look around. You can see some of the devastation hit the most hardest. This house right here belongs to a couple in their 80s, Donald Brown, and he said he and his wife were here. He saw what we believe is a tornado when he walked onto what is now gone of his front porch. You can see the clothes hanging up. All that is supposed to be inside of a house, but it all got wiped away during that tornado. He said they attempted to make it down to the basement, but did not make it to the basement in time. They did go to the interior of the house, but they are both safe and sound. And you can see this entire block is completely devastated by the tornado, or what we think is the tornado. There's down power lines, trees, branches. There's people out here right now helping each other move debris in and out the way, try to rebuild what happened in this neighborhood. Around the corner from where we are right now is a makeshift command post for emergency personnel and for residents here who need help. We saw 2 different fire departments here, the Illinois State Police, FEMA, Ameren is also here, the American Red Cross, this emergency response unit is also here. But one thing that was really interesting that the Salvation Army told me earlier today was that a lot of the community members out here did not really need shelter because they all know each other, and those whose homes were not hit by what we believe is that tornado were able to help their neighbors out and bring them inside. So a lot of people out here just simply need food and water. There's no electricity right now. There's no water. They're actually under a boil order right now. And the lady at Casey's said that today was the busiest day. A lot of people are coming to Casey's for water and for their hot food. But for now, reporting in Bryan, I'm Brett Brooks. Tyler, back to you in the studio.
All right, Brett, thank you. Good to hear neighbors helping neighbors there in Fulton County. And that damage not done yet. It carried over to Minear, where several power lines were also knocked down by at least strong winds. According to Ameren, hundreds of people there were left without power last night. They had large trees also that couldn't handle those powerful winds. So the company had crews on site trying to pick up the pieces in that small town of just over 1,000. One person had a power line go down near her house early today, and the noise of the electricity arcing from a metal fence had one homeowner convinced she was in danger of an approaching tornado.
Seeing all of the explosion sounds or the electrical sounds coming from one side of the house, I was afraid that there was a tornado right here. So all I could think of was getting down to the basement.
And she tells us she is thankful that nobody was hurt and that it appears all the damage there is fixable in Minear. Former President Donald Trump striking a defiant tone during a speech in Florida after the district attorney in Manhattan charged him with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to allegedly cover up hush money payments prior to the 2016 election. Trump continues to denounce the case, calling it politically motivated. Here's ABC's M. Wynn.
Just hours after he became the first U.S. president, current or former, to be arrested and charged as a criminal defendant, Donald Trump took to the stage at his Mar-a-Lago estate.
The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
In his 34-count felony indictment, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg alleges Donald Trump made a series of hush money payments to hide personal scandals that would have negatively impacted his 2016 presidential bid and falsified documents to cover it all up.
Donald Trump and others made 3 payments to people who claimed to have negative information about Mr. Trump. The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means.
Trump's arraignment took longer than expected after the DA requested a protective order from the judge, citing significant concern over Trump's social media attacks against the DA's office. Judge Juan Merchan, who has also been the subject of verbal attacks from Trump, did not issue the order, but called on prosecutors and defense counsel to have Trump and witnesses refrain from making comments that might incite violence or jeopardize the safety of individuals. But just hours later, during his Mar-a-Lago speech, Trump, who dismissed the case as politically motivated, continued to attack the DA, the judge, and even the judge's family.
I have a Trump-hating judge with a Trump-hating wife, prosecutor Alvin Bragg of New York, who campaigned on the fact that he would get President Trump. I gotta get him.
Trump's defiant tone in stark contrast to his more somber one in court, where he was arrested, fingerprinted, and processed. Trump pleading not guilty to all charges.
Legal experts say in New York, falsifying business records is usually a misdemeanor. But prosecutors say these charges rise to the level of a felony because it's in an effort to conceal another crime. M. Wynn, ABC News, New York.
Back here in Illinois now, voters in the Unit 5 school district said yes this time to the tax swap question to help pay for education. 58% of voters across McLean County and a small part of Woodford approved moving more of their property tax dollars into the education fund, which currently has a $12 million deficit. The same question was rejected in November. Starting in the 2023 property tax year, 88 cents per $100 of assessed valuation property will now already go to the education fund. The superintendent calls it a big win for teaching and learning.
Huge for the students, our current and future students in Unit 5. And so we certainly appreciate everyone who showed up to vote and showed up to support our students.
In January, the Unit 5 School Board approved cuts for the next school year, including closing a school, teacher layoffs, and reducing extracurricular activities. The superintendent says now the district will keep its promise. She's asking the board to reverse those cuts at the April 11th meeting. It's that time again where we award a local teacher with a $1,000 grant from 25 News and CEFCU. This week, Devin Mashuli heads to Minear into a classroom where kids learn to deal with their emotions, big and small.
Mrs. Bosnos is a kindergarten teacher at Olympia West Elementary School. One of her main focuses is helping her students learn how to deal with their emotions.
As a district, we're focusing on social emotional learning and dealing with big feelings.
What exactly are big feelings?
Maybe some disappointment when friends don't want to play with you, or if things don't go your way, or if something gets really hard for a student, they can get really frustrated and then get worked up, and then we see those big feelings as well.
She says that in recent years, kids have had more trouble handling their emotions.
So I wanted to provide a space for them to be able to go and calm down, because if they're not calm and regulated, then they're not able to learn.
The space she's referring to is called the Calm Down Space, but it's not much.
So right now I have a sad little cushion that I have the kids move to the floor, and some Play-Doh.
So we stopped by her classroom of 16 years to give her some help so she can improve the space for her students. Miss Bosnos, this is not an April Fool's joke. You just won $1,000 from 25 News and CEFCU. With the $1,000 grant money, Mrs. Bosnos said,
I'd really love to add some books to that area, maybe some fidgets. There's a whole actual calm down kit that they're available that kind of spruces it up to make it more comfortable, like a beanbag chair.
And when we asked Mrs. Bosnos what she wants her students to remember her for, she said,
the fun activities that we do, but more so that I cared for them. I want them to know that they're loved and they're cared for when they walk into this classroom above anything else.
By the sound of this applause, I'd say her students care for her too.
Thank you, 25 News and CEFCU.
Boy, a beanbag chair sounds pretty good right now, doesn't it? The secret to beating back pain: use your legs. That's just a part of what's on the way in Your Health Matters after Chuck.